Hey there, one of the things that's been bugging me on the bike is the shifter arm and linkage rod. They both just like stand out in your face. You can't not see them. Once you see them the first time, it just bugs the heck out of me. So what we're going to do today is swap out these two components for two new ones that are blacked out, and we're going to change the look from this to this. Before we get started today, I wanted to take a couple of seconds to talk about something that I'm really concerned about, and I think we all should be, and that's this epidemic of biker OCD that a lot of bikers are afflicted with. It's horrible. It's just totally debilitating. It takes a lot of enjoyment out of riding for some people. This is my good friend KidMoto22. He has a serious case. He actually suffers from the no chrome variant. So what I want to do is donate all the proceeds from this video to the Help Stop Biker OCD Foundation. And all those donations will be in the name of KidMoto22, and hopefully, what?
You don't have enough subscribers to monetize yet.
I don't have enough subscribers to monetize yet. Who the hell's going to help the biker OCD people? Listen, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you want to help the channel out, and maybe so that we can help out the biker OCD people, feel free to hit that subscribe button over there and that bell. All right, let's get busy putting this stuff on the bike. What we're going to be replacing today will be the shifter arm, the forward one here, as well as the linkage. And what we're going to replace them with is this new shifter arm that Harley released just, I guess, about 6 weeks ago. As you can see, it's black instead of chrome. And then we're also going to be swapping out the linkage with this part that I purchased from Harley. And I'll put the part numbers for all this stuff down in the description below. But there is one difference, because I've taken this linkage kit from Harley and I've actually blacked out the chrome bits, you can see, so that the entire linkage is black. And then I also blacked out the bolts. And what I used to black these out with was just some black Plasti Dip. I think that's going to look really cool when I get that in. So my goal here is to black out as much of this chrome as possible. I noticed when I was doing research on YouTube that doing this on the 2018 and above Softails appears to be a lot different than going through these steps on a touring bike. So I'm going to talk through the process here. And then I'll just do like some high-speed video while I actually go and do the swap out. The first thing that you want to make sure that you do is pay attention to the orientation of your shift lever and then this lever arm. I'm going to take a little tape and mark it here so that I can make sure that I've got both of these aligned in the same position when I put them back on. You don't need a lot of tools for this. You need a 1/2-inch wrench to pull this pinching screw out. T30 for this bolt, and there's a 1/2-inch nut on the back, and then a T30 for this bolt as well. The first thing we're going to do is remove the bolt from the shift lever here. Then we're going to take out this bolt from that's holding the linkage onto the arm. Then we'll remove the arm. Then we're going to remove this back bolt here from the rear arm and put the new shifter linkage in, and then the new shifter arm, and then we'll put this back on. One thing you want to make sure that you take note of before you start this process is the orientation of the linkage rod to the front and rear arms. You'll see on mine the rod goes behind the arm on the front and in front of the arm on the rear. Now, I've seen videos where people are advising everyone just to ignore the front one in the back and just put them both up front. I'm not going to do that. My reinstall will go just like this. Now this wasn't in the instructions that I had with the part, but there is a spacer here that goes just on the outside of there. I'm going to keep that and see if I need to reinstall that with when I put the lever back on. So it probably would have been better for me to have taken the linkage off first, because as you can see this is loose now that I took the foot lever off. However, I wanted to Plasti Dip the end of that bolt that was on the foot peg. So I want to give that time to dry, so I took that off first. So now with this off, we're going to go ahead and remove the linkage from the back. And to do that, to access the bolt here, I'm going to have to push this back. And that's not going to give me enough clearance, so I got to get another tool. All right. Okay, this one was a little tough. I actually ended up switching over to a 3/16 hex to get this bolt out. And putting a little extender on so that I could reach it. So it took quite a bit of force to break that. I got a feeling that was torqued down more than what it was supposed to be. But now we'll be able to take that right out. There we go. So with the linkage off, I'm going to go ahead and remove the front arm. Put the new front arm in. I'm going to hold that to line that up with the markings to make sure it's in the same position. Go ahead and put this spacer back on that was on the original. Again, the new one did not come with a spacer. And then take my foot pedal. You've got to fit this over the splines there, and you want to make sure that it's in the same position that you had it. So I'm going to line that up. That was right there. So there we go. Before you put the new linkage rod on, you want to make sure that it's the same length as the one you took off, or as close as you can get for a starting point. So all I did was take the bolts from the one that I took off, put them through the holes on both ends of the linkage rod there. And hopefully you can see that. And that gives me my starting point for putting it back on. And then I'll adjust it and tighten everything down. Now before I start putting the linkage rod back on, now that I've got these two pieces in place, I'm going to take the bolt that I'd actually removed out of the shifter lever when we started. And you'll notice while we were taking everything off while I was doing the video, I actually went ahead and blacked out this bolt with a little Plasti Dip. So what I'm going to do is put this back through here, and I'm just going to hand tighten it for now. Once I get ready to snug everything down, then I'll tighten that up and we'll torque it. So now these two pieces are together, and it's time to put the linkage rod on. Okay, to get the rod on, remember I'm going to follow the configuration I had when I started. So the linkage rod is going to go behind the arm here. And I'm actually going to be using the bolts and nuts that came with the linkage rod kit. And again, I took, on this bolt, you can see I blacked out the head with a little Plasti Dip. I'll thread that through from the back. And then I'm going to take the acorn nut that came with this, and you can see I blacked that out with a little Plasti Dip. And then I'm going to tighten it. And right now I'm just going to hand tighten it. For the rear part of the rod, I'm going to come to the outside of the arm. I'm going to again use the bolt that came with the linkage rod kit, and you can see I blacked out that bolt as well. Feed that through here. ran into a little bit of a problem. There's no way in hell that you can get that bolt that came with the linkage rod kit to fit. There's just not enough room between the back of the primary. So let me show you the problem here. If we look at these two bolts, the one on the left is the one that came with the linkage rod kit. The one on the right is the bolt that I took out, and you can see that the one with the kit is a little bit longer than the one that was in there. There's no way at all to get that one that came with the kit in. So I've got, I want to take this, I'm going to black this out, the head of this out, and then go ahead and put the back side of the linkage rod on the rear arm, and we'll be back. All right, we're done. I've got everything on. I've got everything torqued down. I'll throw up the torque values of the different bolts here. According to the service manual on the screen, you can hit pause and take a look at those. A couple of things that I didn't mention that I want to make sure everyone's aware of. Once you get the linkage adjusted, you want to make sure that these jam nuts, you tighten these jam nuts here on each side to lock that length into place. Also, blue Loctite on the bolts. I put those on there and didn't mention that. And then one other thing is, this is the old arm that we took off. I actually put a little dab of grease on that cylinder on the new one. It didn't mention that in the instructions, but you know, the old one had it on it, so I put it on the new one. And then lastly, the linkage kit comes with this little cover for the rear arm. I have no idea why they put it in there, because it won't fit. On the 18 and above Softails, which this kit was for, we have like an elbow curve here on the rear arm. Obviously, that ain't gonna fit. So that's just toss it or whatever. Maybe at some point someone will make a cover for that. In the meantime, all I did was just black mine out with a little Plasti Dip. Thanks, Volts. Plasti Dip. All right, there you have it. I'm pretty happy with this. Should only take you about 30 minutes. It's not that difficult of a job. Took me a little longer as I was trying to make my way through a couple of things I needed to figure out. And there just weren't any videos on YouTube about doing this particular mod on a 2018 and above Softail, and specifically a Fat Bob. So I hope this helped somebody. From my perspective, I am really happy with Sophie. I think I've done everything that I want to do to the bike since I picked her up. I'm all set for the new season. I can't think of any... Uh-oh, what was that?
Hey honey, the UPS guy's at the door.